I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak with the trustees, the parents, the educators, and concerned citizens tonight on the topic of parental rights and caregivers. I'm of the belief that when everyone is valued, we can make good decisions for all parties involved. On my delegation request, I stated the following as my issue information. I would like to provide additional information about the motion regarding parental rights put forward by Cindy Watson on December 11, 2023. The issue I'm bringing to light is the topic of child sex abuse. I looked online and could find only one definition in Canada that outlined what sexual abuse is. I found it on the Red Cross website, and it stated what consists of no-touch sexual abuse. The examples they gave was being shown videos or sexual pictures, being forced to listen to sexual talk or comments about one's body, being forced to pose for seductive or sexual photographs, being forced to look at sexual parts of the body, being forced to watch sexual acts, being watched in a sexual way while clothed and unclothed, and receiving intrusive written or spoken questions or comments in person or online. And why I think this matters is because there's so much information going on with the health curriculum and the sex ed curriculum that I think we really have to look at what's under the hood. And I also think it's important that we protect everybody. Because there's no really working definitions of what child sex abuse is, we can't look at what we can do to work together to protect these children. And what I've done recently, for whatever reason, I went on to the Region of Waterloo website, and I'm looking at what the updates are, and they're talking about working with the education system, and they've created different information and dialogues for the parents to talk to with their children. And there's one particular one, the first one I'd like to mention is called The Talk, From Tots to Teens. It sounds really good. Youth in Waterloo Region have said they want to talk with their parents about sexual health. Parent-child communication about sexual health encourages positive behaviors such as postponing sexual activity, having fewer sexual partners, and using contraception more consistently. And it looks good. So when I go down a little lower, it breaks it down to the age groups and the infancy from 0 to 2, what to expect. And this is what it's telling the parents to teach their children to explore their own bodies, including genitals, benefits from hugs. I look at early childhood, ages 3 to 5. Your child may like to be naked, enjoy bathroom humor, pee, poo, fart, touch, or rub their own genitals, choose to close their bedroom door or bathroom door for privacy, and be curious about other people's bodies. Now, note here when it says talking about being curious about other people's bodies and the focus is going on the genitals, I think we can all get the visual of an adult erect penis in a 3-year-old body. Like, this is just really brutal. When I look at ages 6 to 8, begin to show early signs of puberty, explore their own interests, use language to shock, tease, joke, and impress friends, continue to be curious about their own body and sexuality, be naked, playing doctor, acting or dressing like the opposite sex. So I find this really interesting on that one particular guide for parents. And then it goes to the next one. And this one is called It's Easier Than You Think. And it's talking to parents about talking to their children about sex. What I find really interesting about all this, they want the parents to discuss sex with the children. But when you look at what the material in this literature, it is all designed to sexualize the children. And I was on a delegation, or sorry, I was on April 8th, 2015, I was in Peel District School Board trustee meetings, and Janet McDougall, she was the head of it, and she acknowledged that teachers do not receive education or training about child sex abuse or how child predators operate. How could this gross oversight be allowed to happen? How will teachers be able to identify suspect behavior in each other or faculty while children are entrusted in their care? And without awareness and training, how will they know their own behavior is offside, or is this confusion intentional? Who is accountable for the actions of child sex offenders who operate in our schools and institutions? So there's a lot to unpack in here. And when I started looking online, what I found was there is information, there's a lot to unpack, and I believe that parents have the right to step up. They have to step up their fundamental duties and responsibilities. Parents have a legal obligation to ensure the well-being of their child. Both Child, Youth and Family Services Act and family law address the key fundamental issues of parents. They include providing necessities. Parents are responsible for providing with food, clothing, shelter, Medicare, financial support until they reach age of majority. And then protection. Parents have a duty to protect their children from harm, abuse, or neglect. This includes protecting their physical, emotional, and psychological well-being. Given that child sex abuse affects children in all the above areas, it should be assumed that the parents are to protect their child from abuse. So when I'm looking at what was coming out of these articles that I was reading, the next one I came to was the life plan. And when you look at my life, my plan, what they're talking about is encouraging the kids to use alcohol, drugs, and can't remember what the third one was. And they're encouraging the children to have a sex plan. When you look at this document, all they do is direct all the attention back to government sites. Again, all of these are on the Waterloo Regional Waterloo website. So back in 2015, there was a Deputy Minister of Education, Dr. Benjamin Levin. He stood trial in Peel Region for sex crimes against children. These crimes for which he was accused was possession of child porn and counseling others to commit sex offenses against the children. I was in that courtroom 3 of the 4 days. He's not a well man. What was not
Ms.
stated
Glaze?
in the media,
Ms. Glaze, excuse me, how is this related to the motion on parental rights?
because the parents have to understand that what is being promoted, it can be proven that this is child sex abuse, so they have to have the rights. I think you guys need to have the, be able to understand this too, to protect yourselves.
And what are you quoting from? What was that last thing you quoted from?
Regional Waterloo. So this one's called My Life, My Plan. So these documents are all on Regional Waterloo. So Deputy Minister Benjamin Levin stood trial in Peel for sex crimes against children. And the crimes that he was accused of was possession of child porn and counseling others to commit sex offenses against children. What was not stated in the media was who he was counseling. He didn't know they were undercover police officers in Australia. He was counseling the mothers to get the kids ready to have sex with him, to be raped by him, is what he said. But what they said was get the kids naked, masturbate,
Ms. Glaze,
start doing
Ms.
sex
Glaze,
acts
I
in
need
front of
you
the
to
children.
connect this to the letter concerning parental rights.
So this is because it's important that we recognize that the parents do have rights by federal and provincial laws. And with these rights, they have the right to look after their children and protect them. And what I'm finding within the documentation that I'm seeing within the sex ed, so I've been following this for 11 years, what I'm seeing is that they do not have an opportunity to understand that this literature is child sex abuse and that it's being offered by the school board. I would like to see you guys get protected too.
Okay, thank you. What you quoted, you said was from the Waterloo region?
Yes.
Not from the curriculum.
And it's also tied into the education system. Like you can look at the website itself, and maybe you're not aware of it, but I would be very concerned if I was the one teaching this to children when there's people out here who are understanding what does constitute child sex abuse. We have two, I would say different organizations, the Center for Research and Education on Violence Against Women and Children at the University of Western Ontario and CAMH in Toronto. Why is there no working definition of what child sex abuse is? So why it's so important that the parents do still have say and parental rights. They have to get on top of this as well. And we know some parents aren't the best. We understand that. They need to understand this too. But we need to be able to look at this literature and say this is all child sex abuse is what is being promoted. On Ben Levin's website, I think it was back in 2014, he's asking questions. So he's got a dialogue to ask engaging questions for students. Some of the questions he's asking, why do we use the same word love to describe what we feel for family members and also to describe romantic feelings? If you were alone in a house and the phone was disconnected and a robber was coming in, what would you do? So he's even grooming the groomers in this stuff. And what I guess I'm trying to understand, Waterloo Region, when you look at what your task is on the summary, what do you call it, challenge statement? It's all about looking after the youth. We have an opportunity here. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but we have an opportunity to understand what is actually going on. Because when I'm looking at the literature, this is just the beginning of what I'm uncovering about what is all tied into the literature. Parents have the right to protect their children from abuse. They have rights under federal law and provincial laws. And I just don't quite understand why people want to take that away from them and call everybody a caregiver. You look at the website under early childhood development. I think what they're saying, one of the categories is pregnancy and baby's first year. They're looking at caregivers taking over the care of the children on the website. I would love to have anybody look at that website and contact me, and I'll go through in dialogue what exactly the doublespeak means. Because what they're trying to do with this, and it took me a bit to think back to Ben Levin, but when they're getting the parents to have the sex talk with the kids and he was counseling the mothers.
Okay, we follow the curriculum, not whoever you're quoting. So I want to clarify, I want to be very clear about that.
Okay, and I'm going to be very clear about that because back in September, there was a Zoom meeting and it was showing different union representatives. There was 126 members, 74 are women. And what they were doing was going to go out and protest the parents at that Freedom Rally March. And part of the people who were part of, these are the unions that were mentioned, two of them in particular.
You're going off topic now. You're going off topic. We are talking about the motion to write a letter concerning parental rights. So please stay on topic. You have 15 seconds remaining.
The Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation was there too. I just hope you guys are protected. I would just hate to see this all come down on you guys, because I think that's what's going to end up happening when we can prove this is child sex abuse. I would like, nobody's taught anything about this.
Okay.
And this is about
Your-
parental rights.
Your time is up.